Hey, welcome back. So we haven't, or I haven't done a video in quite some time. Actually since probably early October. And it's basically the middle of January. It's the middle of January right now. Been busy. Some things have been going on. I was actually shooting a YouTube video that I have not uploaded. Don't know if I'll ever upload it. On the 10th of October, when I got a call that my father passed away. Took a little wind out of my sail, got busy because of that situation, and then you ran into the holidays. So there we are, and there you have it. So we're back and we're trying it again. I've actually tried to do this video once or twice before, and editing and all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so here we are. We are sitting in my 2022 Ford F-150 Lightning that I bought in late October. That caused a little busyness in my life too, you know, getting into a different truck, or not different, but a new truck. And so with that, I just want to give a little background on my situation with trucks, because with the Ford Lightning, it's a 100% EV, and there's a lot of people that say that people are just coming over from cars and stuff like that haven't ever been in the truck world, and that's currently the case where we're not in the truck world before we bought this, but we have previously been in the truck world. I've had a number of different trucks. I've had two Dodge Rams before, 97, 2001, Dodge Durango, Jeep Grand Cherokees. I know some of these are SUVs and not technically trucks. I've had a 3/4 ton Chevy Silverado, a couple old F-150s, and I work in a business that I drive trucks every day, whether it's heavy duty trucks like Freightliners, that type of thing, Freightliners. Generally that's mostly what we have for the big trucks at work, but and pickup trucks, that type of things. So anyway, I guess that explains that. So I am used to the regular gas powered pickup truck market with relatively late model pickups, through work and through other things that go on with my life. So for me, it wasn't going from a car directly into an EV that I thought was cool. This is a cool truck. It's a nice truck. There's a lot of power. I have the standard range, 98 kilowatt hour battery pack with my truck, and I do not have the max tow package. Here, I'll pan you around here so you can see. Right now we're actually plugged into the house. I do have the heat running in the truck, you can see. So this is helpful when you're at a charger. So this wouldn't be any different right now than if I was at a charger and I was trying to charge the truck. Right now I'm at 90%. You can see that right here. I got 199 miles of range with the 90%. Ford just did an update that has dramatically affected the range of the truck in a positive manner. So the miles don't go down as fast as what they were. So they're getting there, and it's working well. This little plug-in is telling me that I am plugged in and that I'm not actually running off the battery power per se. It is charging. You can see that it says charging 100%. It'll be at 11:33. Right now it's at 9:57. Now that seems like it got off a long time, and just for any of you non-EV people that might be checking this out and might be curious about the F-150 Lightning, the time from 90 to 100 is ungodly long. It's not like that in any form of the matter below 90%, basically. And it does start to slow down a little bit in the 80% range. But gosh darn it, it does not really take as long as don't go based off of that 10%. So what I'm getting at with charging with the F-150 Lightning is, up until yesterday, I'm looking over at my charger. You can, if you pan over, you can see that I have a charge box on the wall. That's actually a Grizzly charger, but up until yesterday I was not using that Grizzly charger. I was using the mobile charger that comes with the truck, and that is a 32 amp charger, and I can show you in a little bit. And that has two different pigtails that pop in and out of it on the top of it, the pigtail being the plug that you actually plug into the wall, because they give you the option to charge off of 120, your standard household outlet, or 240 if you have a NEMA, what they call a NEMA 1450 outlet, which, if I understand correctly, the NEMA 1450 is actually your stove outlet, like your stove, what you would use on your stove. However, there's a difference between when you're doing EV charging, you don't want to get the run-of-the-mill NEMA 1450. So with the charging aspect, if you're going to hook up, hopefully you can see that black box on the wall. You can see the cord on the ground. We're looking to the right of the mini split that's on the wall. So what I'm getting at with that is, if you're going to be using charging at your home and you want to plug into an outlet and you don't have a direct wire, you can get those boxes direct wired and you get even more power out of them. If you're plugging into that 240 outlet, you want a good, expensive actual outlet, not the run-of-the-mill $15 one that you can get at the home center. And the reason for that being is that those plugs are not meant to be, they're not meant to be unplugged and plugged in, unplugged and plugged in, and that's what you're kind of doing with the mobile charger if you're running the mobile charger. Now this one I'm gonna have probably just stay plugged in, and then there's a higher when you get the expensive NEMA 1450, which is gonna run you somewhere around the ballpark of $80 for that one outlet. You're also, it's a better quality, you have less chance of anything going wrong, fire risk or anything like that. It's just designed better. Okay, so that's one thing to consider, and that maybe that should, we're diving kind of deep into the charging situation here, and maybe I should kind of make a separate video, but I just wanted to touch on a few things. And with that, when you are out in public and you go to a public charger, there is a fair amount of level 2 chargers out there, and level 2 is what I'm plugged into right now. So getting back to, I guess I'll just stay with that for a little bit. There's a lot of level 2 chargers out there, but the level 2 public chargers are probably getting you about 15 miles per hour of charge in this truck. So that might be nice if you're going to a restaurant and a movie, and you know, maybe you're plugged in by the restaurant or whatever, and you want to add 15 miles while you're in there for an hour or so, or maybe a little bit over 15 miles. Or if, you know, it'd be nice if you're going to the dinner and the movie and it's right in the same vicinity, and you know, you're getting, you know, maybe 30-45 miles by the time you're done with everything. DC fast chargers. Now, it is a little harder on the standard range Lightning to charge on a DC fast charger. They don't tell you that you shouldn't do it. They do tell you, Ford does tell you that it does wear on it a little bit on the standard range, a little bit more than it does on the extended range. Must have to do with the capacity or something. I don't know. I'm not that guy. I have DC fast charged, but I've only been on a real high-powered one once for about 20 minutes. So Ford does say on their website with the charging that if you go to like an Electrify America, and you're at 150 kilowatt a charger, you're going to go from, like, I think they said somewhere like 15% to 80 in this truck in about 30-35 minutes, and it's approximately the same for the extended range. There's just a little bit of difference with the time. It's not much. It's less than 10 minutes, I believe. So that's pretty reasonable. If you're on like a 50 kilowatt DC fast charger, it's going to take, quite a bit longer. But that's not a bad option either. For instance, there's a town not too far from us that's 15 miles. And when I was on 110, because right after we got this, or 120, right after we got this truck, my only option was either the 120 volt pigtail into the Ford mobile charger to charge this truck. And with that, I was only getting 2 miles per hour charge. Some people do get a little bit more than that. They get like 3 or whatever, but I guess that depends on maybe the available power that you have at your house. I was running those on 20 amp breaker outlet. Anyway, so with the travel charger with the Ford, like I said, with the 120 volt pigtail in it, you get like 2 miles per hour. And then with the 240, you get 15 miles per hour. And that's not bad, because if you're running just the travel charger, that works really good. So, well, for me, like, I charge from 8 o'clock until whenever the truck is done charging, 8 o'clock at night. And then the reason why it's 8 o'clock is because my rate goes down at 8 p.m. It goes down to just under 6 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's pretty freaking good. So that travel charger, if I go to work, I make a 40-mile round trip, and then maybe if there's some driving around, even if we go to another town or whatever within 15, 20 miles or whatever, and do some running around, that travel charger will recover that in the span that I need to, from 8 p.m. till 6 a.m. And usually it was done, well before the 6 a.m. or the 6:25 or whatever. I think I have a departure time set for 6:25. So that did okay, but the only time we ran into problems is, like, let's say we're out on the weekend, it's a Friday night, you go out, you don't get home until 10:30, 11 or whatever. You plug the truck in on the 240 with the travel charger, and then let's say you have to be somewhere at, you have to get going by 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever it may be. With the travel charger, in that circumstance, like, let's say you come back and the truck is pretty well depleted, let's say you got maybe 15 miles of range or 20 miles, whatever it may be, that it couldn't recover from fast enough to do that, to get up to like 100% or 95%, whatever you wanted it at. So with that said, that's kind of why we moved to an actual wall mounted charger that I showed you, that Grizzly, because so the Ford travel charger that comes with the truck is 32, it charges at 32 amps. This Grizzly, with being plugged into an outlet, can go to 40 amps. So that is the maximum by code. If you're plugged into a 240 on a 50 amp breaker, that's the maximum amount of power that you can draw out of that outlet. I mean, obviously you could draw more if something was requesting that, up to the 50 amps, but that's kind of like the code, that's kind of like the standard, that with these EV chargers, that they're not going to suck out more than 40 amps on a 50 amp circuit. That's just, that's for safety purposes, obviously. So when you bump up to 40 amps, interestingly, is that the truck will go from 15 miles of charge per hour to approximately 25 miles of charge per hour. So that's quite a bit of difference, and the truck is able to replenish itself overnight rather quickly when you plug in later at night, and you need to get it going, early in the morning. So I would highly recommend, if you get one of these trucks, to get a wall charger at 40 amps. and that way it just makes this truck that much more useful. So I wanted to touch on a few other things rather quickly, hopefully rather quickly. I tend to get long-winded. Is that all around, you know, this is a pretty good truck. Yeah, I started with the purchase of this truck in late October. Like I said, it's now the middle of January. Most of my experience with this has been pretty much in fairly cold weather, you know, around, you know, anywhere from around, except for the first week that we had it, it's mostly been around freezing or a little above freezing to well below freezing. So you do have the range loss with the cold weather, and obviously you have range loss with gas or diesel as well. But it's not significant enough where this truck is not useful by any means. You can go, you know, like for instance, if my truck is charged to 90%, I can take this truck an hour away, go drive around in a different town doing things, you know, a little bit, come back and have enough in the tank, or not in the battery. We did have an instance where we did some extra driving one time where we were about an hour away, where I did stop for 15 minutes for a level 2 charge, just because it was 7 degrees out and I didn't want to really push it, that we would get low on juice or whatever. And that was before Ford did the update. After Ford did the update just recently, it's been a lot better with the mileage. You know, like right now we're showing 91% at 202 miles of range, where this truck has an EPA range of 230, and that's basically in the summertime. So I can tell you the 1 week that I had the truck where it was warm outside, you're getting a lot of range out of it. So, you know, that it is practical. I mean, and obviously if you throw a trailer on here, you're going to get a little bit less range. So I've only had my trailer on the truck once. I only have a 4x8 trailer. It's just a little trailer. It doesn't weigh a lot. I didn't have a big load, and I was only using it in the city that I live in. And EVs thrive in this city. So I don't have a good estimation for you with the trailer. I know that if you do go into here and you go on the towing, you can set up your trailer. See, like right now it says no active trailer. My trailer right here, I have a 4x8 and it says on extender because I put it on a 6-inch extension further away from the truck for being able to drop the tailgate and all that stuff. And so you plug your trailer into here, and then what it's going to do is after you plug your trailer into, you put in how big it is, you know, approximate weight, how tall, you know, everything, and then it's going to change your range on the dash to what it thinks it's going to have with that trailer on. Now this is a bad representation of what your what it's going to show. It's not going to show this bar when you're going down the road. Let's see if I can make a change here. It's going to show there's going to be some it's just not going to show your percentage on most screens, and I'll have to see if I can throw that in on the video here, because it's not going to change right now because it's plugged in. So anyway, throwing the trailer on, you can plug your trailer information into it and it's going to adjust your range accordingly. And it's not, I don't think it's too bad of an adjustment with that. In the summertime, you're gonna work out great with, even on the standard range, with, you know, with towing the trailer. I mean, let's say towing a decent sized trailer cuts your load in half, because I've checked out a couple of other factual information sites. Let's say it cuts your range in half. Okay, so now I'm at 130 miles. I mean, I'm not going many places where I'm going more than 130 miles before I really want to stop and kind of get out and stretch, go to the bathroom, whatever. And if you can incorporate that with a DC fast charger and you spend 15, 20, 30 minutes at a stop while you're towing, that, to me, that's not that big of a deal. I don't need to be in that big of a rush when I'm doing a lot of things, although I think my wife would disagree with that. It's only going to get better with public charging. There are so many chargers that are popping up, it's unreal. Even in the small town that I live in, I was surprised that they had 2 different spots for level 2 charging. And we did utilize that a little bit before I had the 240 hooked up outside. So you can go to a lot of places and get free charging too. There's the DC fast charger that I've been to most often is free. One of the level 2 chargers not across town, it's a couple blocks away from my house. That one's free. So, I mean, really, if I wanted to be really stingy, I mean, I guess I could come home from work, hook up to that charger, let it sit there for a couple hours, you know, walk back down to the truck and, you know, basically have free energy. I mean, not basically, it is free energy. I'm not trying to say that you should take advantage of somebody that has free chargers. But right now it's a nice benefit to have because there are a lot of free chargers out there. So, you know, that's something that you never get with gas or diesel. You know, when was the last time the gas station said, hey, it's on us? That doesn't happen. So it is what it is. So that's kind of the situation with that. I mean, other than that, obviously what Ford has talked about is that this is just much like the regular F-150, and it is. So it comes in the Super Crew variation, and with the short box, I think it's like 5 feet 7 inches. And that, because that's the most commonly bought F-150 on the market, so that's why they put it into that platform. Now this truck has over 400 horse with both the standard range and the extended range. Has over 500. And I'm sorry, I got mixed up there. So this one, the standard range has over 400 horsepower, the extended range has over 500, but their torque is shared. It's not shared, but it's the same. The torque on both standard and extended range is 775 foot-pounds. I believe I got that right. That's a lot of torque. There's a lot, I mean, and when I say a lot, I don't necessarily mean all current diesels. There's a lot of diesel trucks on the road that don't have that kind of torque, even if we go back to the early 2000s. And I know that's going back like 20 years. I'm not a big diesel guy. I don't know exactly what diesels are getting these days. I know my brother-in-law just bought a diesel, and I think his is around 900 and some pound-foot of torque. But if you consider just not that long ago, a couple generations ago, we were talking about 400 foot-pounds of torque out of a diesel being a lot. So, I mean, seriously, this has got 775 foot-pounds of torque. That's ridiculous. There's some tractors out there that don't have that much freaking torque. Now I know that the modern day semi, a lot of them are over 1,000 foot-pounds of torque, but there's some semis out there that are still on the road that have less than 775 foot-pounds of torque. So that's to kind of put that into perspective with how much torque this truck has. And it's a lot of power. Ford does a great job of their traction control system and their electronic stability control with keeping that power to the ground and not getting too out of sorts with it. Would I recommend this truck for a beginning driver? No, I absolutely would not. It does have plenty of power. And it does have regenerative braking that I use all the time. I hardly use the regular brakes. I have to remind myself to actually try and use them to keep them rust-free, to keep the discs from rusting. Not that I've run into a problem with not using them, and they've always worked fine. And I do have 4,567 miles on this truck. So the regen has to get the most regen, it seems like you have to be in what they call one pedal drive, and you have a, right here it is, you can toggle that on and off. So with the one pedal drive, that's exactly basically what it is. Honestly, if I lost my regular brakes that we're all used to, you know, I feel confident that I could get this truck home with the regenerative braking. It works so good. Would I recommend that? No, obviously not. Because there are times that I am using the regenerative braking with the one pedal drive, and I'm coming up to a stop sign and I still do have to apply the regular brakes. Just because I didn't start the lift off that pedal soon enough or whatever. So with that said, with the one pedal drive, they do have that sorted out really well too, where if you're in the snow and the ice, I guess I don't necessarily recommend having one pedal drive on in the snow and the ice, because people that have lived where it snows regularly know that there are some situations where you just don't want to have your foot on any type of braking. You don't want to be doing any type of braking in certain situations. So I don't necessarily recommend having one pedal drive, but I have pulled out of the driveway when it's been snowy and a little icy and not even thought about it and still had the one pedal drive on, and they have that sorted out almost perfectly, where it doesn't really get out of sorts or anything like that. It knows what is going on, and it does a good job of managing that. So just a couple of things, I'll show you a few different things real quick. With this truck, there is a lot of storage, and there is a storage system you can buy that goes back under your seat. But this is how it comes without the storage system, and you can see you can get a lot of stuff in this little area under the seat. Then of course you have your frunk, and we'll open that up real quick for you. And let's see what we got here. Okay, so here's the frunk, and I'm sorry, I have a lot of junk in my frunk, I guess. So here's there's a lot of space up here. It doesn't maybe look like it on camera, but you know, like here we have the Pro Power onboard with the 4 outlets. I should have probably prepped for this a little bit better. It has USBs up here, and it also has Pro Power onboard in the back. This truck has I'll show you the one in the back. It has the 240 back there as well as the 120. But however, here's the travel charger from Ford. This is the 32 amp charger. Right here you can pull this whole top piece out and put in this guy right here. You can put in this one for 120, and that just, you know, goes right in where that plug is. So it's a nice thing to have, and it works well. So you have your frunk space here, which is nice. There's a button there. You have a button on the remote, and you have the button inside the truck to do that. Now going on around to the back here. All right, sorry, I didn't prepare for this well enough. So you got the Pro Power on board down here. Here is your 240 outlet, and you got 2 110 outlets here, with dual outlets for 110. Breaker switches right there, and a pull printer if you need a pull printer, I guess. Not a Ford accessory there. You know, it's really functional with all the stuff that you can do with this truck, with being able to have the extra storage with the frunk, and having to have the Pro Power onboard, which I can show you right here. So with the Pro Power onboard, when the truck is on, the cab outlets, which there's 2 of them, there's one here and there's one on the back of the center console back here for your backseat passengers, those are always on when the truck is on. So then to turn the frunk on, you do that. It gives you this little vehicle information, or the information about the Pro Power here. until you reach the reserve setting, which you can adjust. So you can set it to how many miles of range that the Pro Power onboard will operate until. So I have mine set to 30 miles of range. I want the Pro Power to shut off at that point, because basically where I live, within 30 miles, I can get to a level 2 charger in an emergency if I need to, and wait it out to get enough to get home. So that's why I have it set to 30. Same thing for the back. Throw that on, and we actually used this truck to pull a float in the Christmas parade, and used the Pro Power on board in the box of the truck to power the lights on the float, rather than having a noisy generator. That worked out really well. So that's kind of a overview of my F-150 Lightning, and you know, kind of some of the things that you'll experience with the F-150 Lightning in general. And I guess I can't say enough about this truck, and we'll do some other videos on it. But for now, thanks for watching.